The Last Stand. The holographic projection of High Admiral Vextor filled the United Earth Defense Council chamber, his scaled features twisted in what passed for a smile among the Vardanians. Your species has 24 hours to surrender. After that, we begin systematic elimination of your population centers. Your resistance has been admirable, but futile. Commander Sarah Chen stood at the back of the chamber, her fingers digging into her palms as she watched humanity's leaders argue amongst themselves. 3 years of war against the Vardanian Empire had reduced Earth's population by 2 billion. Their fleets were decimated, their colonies fallen. Now, the largest alien armada ever assembled hung in high orbit, ready to deliver the final blow. We should negotiate terms, General Roberts argued, his weathered face heavy with resignation. Save what's left of our people. There are no terms, Sarah spoke up, stepping forward. The Vardanians don't take slaves. They don't accept surrenders. They eliminate potential threats. That's why they've ruled the galaxy for 10,000 years. The council chamber fell silent. Sarah pulled up her own holographic display, showing the massive excavation site in the Atacama Desert. But we found something that could change everything. The dig site had been discovered 6 months ago, when their quantum sensors detected an energy signature unlike anything they'd ever seen. Buried beneath millennia of sand lay a facility of clearly human origin, but from a civilization far more advanced than their own. Impossible, Roberts scoffed. Humanity evolved on Earth. We know our history. Sarah shook her head. What we know is what remained after something tried to erase us. The facility contains technology we barely understand, but it's responding to human DNA. Only human DNA. She brought up another hologram, showing the massive device they'd uncovered. It resembled a spiral of crystalline structures, each pulsing with an inner light. Our scientists have been working around the clock. We believe it's some kind of quantum defense system, capable of creating a field that could neutralize Vardanian weapons technology. How can you be sure? President Martinez asked, leaning forward. Because the facility contains records. Our ancestors fought the Vardanians before, tens of thousands of years ago. They nearly won, but something went wrong. The Vardanians didn't just defeat them. They bombed humanity back to the Stone Age, erased our history, and left a handful of survivors to evolve again. The chamber erupted in shocked murmurs. Sarah continued, her voice rising with intensity. That's why they came back now. Their long-range sensors detected that we were approaching the technological level where we might rediscover our past. They're not here to conquer us. They're here to finish what they started. Even if what you're saying is true, Roberts interjected, this device is untested. We don't know if it works or what it might do to Earth if we activate it. Sarah met his gaze steadily. What we know is that if we do nothing, humanity ends tomorrow. Everything we are, everything we could be, gone. I'm not asking for permission to try this. I'm telling you what we're going to do. President Martinez studied her for a long moment, then nodded slowly. How long do you need? The device is ready. We just need to power it up. But Sarah hesitated. The energy requirements are massive. We'll have to divert power from our planetary shield grid. We'll be vulnerable for approximately 7 minutes. They'll detect the power shift, Roberts warned. They'll strike immediately. Yes, Sarah agreed, which is why we need to hit them first. A strike force, targeting their flagship. Not to destroy it, just to distract them during the crucial minutes while we power up the device. Martinez looked around the chamber, meeting each council member's eyes. The human race has faced extinction before, it seems, and we survived. We evolved. We rose again. He stood. We will not go quietly into the night. Commander Chen, you have your authorization. God help us all. Sarah saluted sharply and strode from the chamber. As she headed toward the command center, her comm unit chimed. Dr. Maya Patel, lead scientist on the ancient facility, appeared on the small screen. Commander, we've decoded more of the facility's databanks. There's something you need to see. I'm a little busy, Maya. Can it wait? No. Maya's voice was tight with tension. The device. It's not just a defense system. It's something much more. Something that could change everything we thought we knew about the nature of reality itself. Sarah quickened her pace. In orbit above, the Vardanian fleet began to move. The awakening. The ancient facility thrummed with power as Sarah Chen raced through its crystalline corridors. Emergency lights pulsed in rhythm with the facility's awakening systems, casting strange shadows on walls covered in writings that seemed to shift and change as she passed. Dr. Maya Patel waited in the central chamber, her dark eyes wide with excitement and fear. Holographic displays surrounded her, showing streams of data in a script that seamlessly merged mathematics with what appeared to be human language, but unlike any ever recorded. "Talk to me, Maya," Sarah demanded, skidding to a stop beside the scientist. "What did you find?" Maya gestured to the central crystal matrix, where the spiral device pulsed with increasing intensity. "It's not just a weapon or shield. It's a key. Our ancestors didn't just fight the Vardanians. They found a way to access what they called the underlying framework of reality. Above them, the first explosions lit up the sky as humanity's remaining ships engaged the Vardanian fleet. They had 6 minutes until the device needed full power. "Explain it simply," Sarah ordered, checking the countdown on her tactical display. "Reality, space, time, energy. It's all code. Programming. The Vardanians didn't just bomb us back to the Stone Age. They literally rewrote local spacetime to limit human technological development, created a quantum barrier around our solar system that prevented us from advancing past certain points." Sarah's mind raced. "And this device? It's a compiler. It can rewrite the rules right back." Maya's hands flew over the controls. "Our ancestors built it as a failsafe, knowing they might fall. They encoded its activation into our very DNA, making it impossible for anyone but their descendants to use it." Another explosion rocked the facility. Sarah's comm crackled to life. "Commander." Captain Rodriguez's voice was tight with strain. "The Vardanian flagship is launching fighters. Hundreds of them. We can't hold them much longer." 4 minutes, Sarah muttered. "We need 4 more minutes." She keyed her comm. "All ships, fall back to secondary positions. Deploy everything we have." Maya grabbed her arm. "There's more. The data we decoded. It suggests this isn't the first cycle. Humanity has risen and fallen multiple times, each time getting closer to breaking free. The Vardanians, they're afraid of us, of what we could become." The facility's lights flickered as power continued to build. Sarah watched the tactical display as humanity's defenders fought with desperate courage, buying time with their lives. "Why? What makes us so special?" "Most species evolve to fit their environment," Maya explained, her voice filled with wonder. "But humans, we change the environment to fit us. We adapt, we innovate, we break rules we don't even know exist. The Vardanians built their empire on rigid control, on unchanging order. We represent chaos, change, evolution." The facility shuddered violently. Warning klaxons blared as multiple Vardanian warships broke through Earth's weakened defenses, their weapons charging. "Commander," Maya said softly, "once this device activates, there's no going back. The changes it makes to local spacetime, they'll be permanent. We'll be rewriting the laws of physics themselves." Sarah watched as another human destroyer sacrificed itself to protect the facility, its crew fighting to the last second. Her jaw tightened. "Will it save Earth?" "It'll do more than that. It'll wake up abilities that have been dormant in our DNA for millennia. Every human being will have access to capabilities the Vardanians specifically suppressed. But the shock to our systems, the sudden evolutionary leap, some might not survive. Better some survive as something new than all of us die as we are." Sarah keyed her global command frequency. "All Earth forces, this is Commander Chen. Fall back to minimum safe distance." Repeat. Clear the engagement zone. She turned to Maya. Do it. Maya's fingers danced across the crystal controls. The spiral device's glow intensified until it was painful to look at directly. Above them, the Vardanian fleet pressed their advantage, their weapons powering up for a final devastating barrage. High Admiral Vextor's hologram appeared again, his satisfaction evident. So dies humanity. Again. Sarah smiled grimly. No, this time, we wake up. Maya pressed the final activation sequence. The spiral device erupted with blinding light, and reality itself began to scream. In orbit, the Vardanian fleet's weapons fired. And nothing happened. Their energy beams simply ceased to exist mid-flight. On their bridges, their quantum computers began reporting impossible errors as the basic constants of physics shifted around them. And on Earth, every human being felt something ancient stir in their DNA, like a long-forgotten memory finally breaking free. The awakening had begun. Counter-strike. The change swept across Earth like a tide of lightning. In every city, every village, every bunker where humans huddled in fear of orbital bombardment, people suddenly stumbled as ancient knowledge flooded their minds. Abilities locked away for millennia burst forth, as natural as breathing. Sarah Chen watched in awe as golden lines of energy traced themselves across her skin, forming intricate patterns that pulsed in sync with her heartbeat. Around her, the facility's crystals sang in harmonics she could now understand at a fundamental level. Maya, she breathed, what are we becoming? Dr. Paddle stood transfixed by streams of data that now made perfect sense to her awakened mind. We're becoming what we were, what we always should have been. The Vardanians didn't just suppress our technology. They suppressed our ability to manipulate quantum fields directly through thought. Above them, the Vardanian fleet hung in disarray. Their weapons were useless, their shields operating at impossible frequencies that offered no protection. High Admiral Vextor's voice crackled across all frequencies, tinged with something humans had never heard in a Vardanian before. Fear. What have you done? He demanded. This is impossible. We erased this potential from your species. Sarah stepped onto a platform that hadn't existed moments before, created by her newfound ability to manipulate matter and energy. Her voice carried across space itself as she responded. You tried, but you didn't understand what humanity truly is. We're not just another species to be conquered. We're evolution incarnate. Across Earth, humans were discovering abilities that seemed like magic, but were actually deep understanding of physics and quantum mechanics encoded in their DNA. Some could create and manipulate energy fields. Others could process and analyze vast amounts of data instantly. Still others found they could communicate across vast distances without technology. In orbit, Captain Rodriguez and her crew discovered they could interface directly with their ship's systems. The damaged destroyer began to repair itself, restructuring its hull at the atomic level. Other vessels followed suit, transforming into configurations that the Vardanian fleet's sensors couldn't even comprehend. All ships, Sarah commanded, her words carried by thought rather than radio waves. Prepare to engage. Show them what humanity can really do. The counterattack began. Human ships moved in ways that defied conventional physics, their crews working in perfect synchronization with their vessels. Energy beams that the Vardanians had used to devastate Earth's forces were now caught, redirected, and transformed. High Admiral Vextor watched in horror as his mighty fleet began to crumble. This is why, he muttered. This is why the protocols demanded your extinction. You're not just dangerous. You're a fundamental threat to the order of the galaxy itself. Sarah's voice resonated through every Vardanian ship. We're not a threat to order. We're the next step in evolution, and you can either adapt with us or fall. The battle that followed would be remembered for millennia. Human ships danced through space, their crews demonstrating mastery over forces that the Vardanians had thought impossible to control. Where once Earth's defenders had been hopelessly outmatched, Now they moved with terrible purpose, their actions guided by both tactical genius and newly awakened intuition. Maya's voice cut through the chaos of battle. Sarah, the quantum readings from the Vardanian ships. They're preparing something. A last resort weapon. Sarah probed with her enhanced senses and found it. A tear in space-time, growing at the heart of the Vardanian flagship. They're trying to create a localized collapse. They'll destroy the entire solar system to stop us. But humanity's awakening had given them more than just power. It had given them understanding. Sarah reached out with her mind, connecting with every human in range. Knowledge and purpose flowed between them, forming a collective consciousness that remained distinctly individual. Together, she broadcast, and every human responded. As one, they reached into the fabric of reality itself. The Vardanian weapon faltered, contained, and collapsed in on itself. Their mighty flagship, pride of an empire that had ruled for 10,000 years, crumpled like paper in a storm. High Admiral Vextor's final transmission was filled with disbelief. "What are you?" "We are humanity awakened," Sarah replied. "And we're coming for your empire next. Not for revenge, not for conquest, but because every species deserves the chance to reach their full potential. You kept the galaxy in chains of ignorance. We're going to set it free." The remaining Vardanian ships fled, jumping to faster-than-light speeds in patterns that their human pursuers could now track with ease. But Sarah knew this was just the beginning. "Maya," she called, returning to the facility, "what else can you tell me about our ancestors' plans?" The scientist smiled, her eyes glowing with newfound power. "They left us more than just this awakening. They left us a map to every suppressed civilization in the galaxy, and instructions for how to break their chains too." Sarah nodded, feeling the weight of destiny settling on her shoulders. "Send word to all Earth forces. The real war begins now, not for survival, but for liberation." Revolutions echo. 3 months after humanity's awakening, the Vardanian Empire was in chaos. Sarah Chen stood on the bridge of the Earth ship Prometheus, watching a holographic display of the galaxy where points of light marked spreading rebellion. Each spark represented another species breaking free from millennia of suppression. "The Nexeri have joined us," Maya reported, her consciousness seamlessly connected to the ship's vast information networks. Their crystalline biology made them particularly receptive to the awakening process. Entire sectors of their worlds are transforming. Sarah nodded, tracking the wave of changes sweeping through former Vardanian space. The Nexeri were just the latest in a growing list of species discovering their true potential. Some, like the gaseous Keth, found they could control electromagnetic fields. Others, like the silicon-based Murad, awakened to their ability to process information at quantum speeds. "Any word from the Vardanian capital?" Sarah asked, though she already knew the answer. The Empire had gone silent, retreating to their core worlds behind defenses built over thousands of years. "Nothing direct," Maya replied, "but we're detecting massive energy signatures. They're preparing something big." A new presence made itself known on the bridge. Ambassador Zix of the Nexeri, their crystalline form shimmering with internal light. Like many species, the Nexeri had quickly mastered faster-than-light communication once their inherent abilities were unlocked. "Commander Chen." Zix's thoughts resonated directly in their minds. "My people have accessed ancient records, predating Vardanian rule. We were not always as we are now. Like humanity, we were engineered down, forced into lesser forms." Sarah turned to face the ambassador. "What did you find?" The Vardanians didn't create their empire through superior technology alone. They discovered something, a way to manipulate the fundamental forces that shape evolution itself. They used this knowledge not to advance, but to ensure no other species could ever challenge them. Maya's consciousness brushed against Sarah's, sharing data at the speed of thought. "That matches what we've decoded from our ancestors' records. The Vardanians found something they shouldn't have, and instead of using it to elevate all species, They used it to suppress them. But why? Sarah wondered aloud. What were they so afraid of? The answer came from an unexpected source, a transmission breaking through the silence from the Vardanian core worlds. The holographic form of High Admiral Vextor appeared, but changed. His usual imperial regalia was gone, replaced by simpler garb. His eyes held something Sarah had never seen in a Vardanian: uncertainty. "Commander Chen," he said, his voice lacking its usual arrogance, "I request dialogue." Sarah raised an eyebrow. "The mighty Empire wants to talk. After all you've done." "What we did," Vextor replied, "we did out of fear. Fear born of knowledge you must understand before it's too late." He paused, seeming to struggle with himself. "We were not the first to discover the keys to evolutionary manipulation. We were simply the first to survive using them." The implication sent a chill through the bridge crew. Maya voiced what they were all thinking. Survive what? "There is a reason," Vextor continued, "that the galaxy is not teeming with advanced civilizations. A reason that despite the vast age of the universe, we find no evidence of species that evolved beyond a certain point. When civilizations achieve true evolutionary freedom, they change, become something else, something that no longer exists in our reality." Sarah frowned. "You're saying you suppressed every species in the galaxy to prevent them from transcending?" "To prevent them from drawing attention," Vextor corrected. "There are things between the stars, Commander. Things that notice when species begin to evolve too quickly. Things that harvest them." The bridge fell silent as the implications sank in. Ambassador Zix's crystalline form pulsed with agitation. "You claim to have protected us by enslaving us." "We created stability," Vextor insisted. "A galaxy where species could develop slowly, safely, without attracting unwanted attention. Yes, we ruled through suppression, but we ruled. We survived. And now, with your liberation, you risk drawing the attention of forces you cannot comprehend." Sarah stepped forward, her awakened senses probing the truth in Vextor's words. "You're genuinely afraid," she realized. "But you're also wrong. We've already changed, Admiral. All of us. And we haven't drawn any cosmic horrors down upon us. Yet," he said simply, "watch the spaces between stars. Commander, watch for the shadows that move when no light reaches them. You've started something that cannot be stopped. And when they come," he shuddered, "may your evolutionary freedom protect you better than it did the ones who came before." The transmission cut off, leaving the bridge in thoughtful silence. Maya's consciousness reached out, connecting with the growing network of awakened species across the galaxy. "He believes what he's saying," she reported, "but there's something he's not telling us." Sarah turned to Ambassador Zix. "Your people have been spacefaring longer than humans. Have you ever encountered evidence of these harvesters?" The crystalline being pulsed with consideration, "Not directly. But there are gaps in the galaxy, regions where stars should be but aren't, sectors where the very fabric of space seems wounded." "Commander," Maya interrupted, her eyes wide with sudden understanding. "The facility where we found the awakening device, the records there, they don't just contain instructions for liberation. They contain warnings and coordinates." Sarah felt a familiar tension building in her gut. Coordinates to what? To the places where other awakened species made their last stands, not against the Vardanians, but against something else, something that left behind nothing but empty space and twisted physics. Sarah looked out at the galaxy map, where points of liberation light continued to spread. They had started something that couldn't be stopped. But perhaps it was never meant to be stopped. Perhaps evolution itself was a weapon, and the Vardanians had been doing the equivalent of trying to hide a sword by dulling its blade. "Send word to all liberated worlds," she commanded. "We need to meet. If there really are harvesters out there, they won't find us cowering in evolutionary chains. They'll find us standing together, awake and ready." As the call went out, Sarah couldn't help but wonder, Had humanity simply traded one existential threat for another? Or were they finally becoming what they needed to be to face the true challenges of the galaxy? The stars seemed to shimmer differently now, as if the very act of watching them changed their nature. And in the depths between them, something ancient stirred, awakening to match humanity's rise. Dawn of freedom. The combined fleet of liberated species assembled at the edge of Vardanian space, their ships transformed by awakened knowledge into configurations that defied conventional physics. Sarah Chen stood aboard the Prometheus, now evolved far beyond its original form, as representatives from across the galaxy joined in a unified consciousness. The Nexari crystalline ships pulsed with living light. The Keth's energy vessels rippled like aurora in space. The myriad's quantum-integrated cruisers existed in multiple states simultaneously, and at the center, Earth's fleet, led by humans who had learned to bridge the gap between all these different forms of existence. "They're here," Maya announced, her consciousness spread across the fleet's vast network. The harvesters. Long-range quantum sensors detect them approaching from the gaps between spiral arms. Sarah accessed the sensor data through her enhanced perception. The entities defied normal description, massive distortions in space-time that consumed light, matter, and even causality itself. They moved with purpose, drawn by the sudden explosion of evolutionary activity across the galaxy. "How many?" Sarah asked, though the concept of numbers seemed inadequate for these beings. "Enough to consume every awakened world 3 times over," Maya replied. "But that's not all. The Vardanian core worlds, they're changing." The holographic display shifted, showing the heart of the old empire. The Vardanian worlds were transforming, their surfaces crawling with geometric patterns visible from space. High Admiral Vextor's image appeared again, but his form was different, more fluid, less bound by physical constraints. "You see now?" he asked, his voice resonating across multiple frequencies. "Why we did what we did. The harvesters come for species that evolve too quickly, too visibly. But we found another way. Not suppression. Transcendence through control." The patterns on the Vardanian worlds grew more complex, and Sarah realized with sudden clarity what she was seeing. "You're not just evolving," she said. "You're turning your entire civilization into a weapon." "The only weapon that matters," Vextor confirmed. "We didn't suppress other species out of fear or hatred. We did it to create a stable foundation for this moment. A galaxy-wide neural network, carefully maintained for 10,000 years, ready to be activated when the harvesters finally came." Sarah felt the truth of it through her enhanced senses. The Vardanian Empire hadn't just been an empire. It had been a vast preparation, every suppressed species unknowingly part of a larger pattern. But their plan had required stasis, control, the sacrifice of countless civilizations' potential. "There's another way," Sarah declared, reaching out to connect with every awakened being in the fleet. "You tried to face this threat alone, thinking only your pattern, your control could save us. But look at what we've achieved in just 3 months of freedom." The combined fleet moved as one, each species contributing their unique perspectives and abilities to a greater whole. The Nexari's crystalline vessels formed vast geometric arrays, amplifying and channeling energy. The Keth shaped electromagnetic fields into weapons that could affect even the harvester's twisted physics. The myriad's quantum processors calculated possibilities faster than reality could manifest them. And humanity, with their unique gift for adaptation and innovation, wove it all together into something new. "We don't need to transcend through control," Sarah continued. "We transcend through cooperation, through the combination of our different paths of evolution. Unity without uniformity." The harvesters approached, their presence distorting the very fabric of space. But where once such entities have found isolated civilizations ripe for consumption, now they faced something unprecedented. A galaxy awakening not to singular transcendence, but to infinite diversity in infinite combinations. "All ships," Sarah commanded, her consciousness merged with the fleet's unified awareness. "Execute final protocol." The awakened fleet didn't just fight. They rewrote the laws of physics in their vicinity, creating a space where the Harvester's own nature worked against them. The Vardanian worlds, seeing the power of unity over control, joined their vast network to the Alliance's efforts. Reality itself seemed to hold its breath as two forms of transcendence clashed: the Harvester's consumption of potential and the allied species' expression of it. In the end, it wasn't superior firepower or advanced technology that won the day. It was the simple truth that evolution, true evolution, isn't about becoming more powerful. It's about becoming more connected, more diverse, more alive. The Harvesters, faced with prey that had become something they couldn't consume, retreated back to the spaces between stars. But Sarah knew they hadn't seen the last of them. "They'll return," Vextor observed, his form now fully transcended beyond his original shape. "And we'll be ready," Sarah replied, "not through suppression or control, but through growth and cooperation. Every species free to evolve in their own way, contributing to the whole without sacrificing their uniqueness." The galaxy map now showed not just points of light, but connections between them, a living network of civilizations, each discovering their own path to evolution while remaining linked in common cause. Maya's consciousness brushed against Sarah's. "The ancient records were incomplete," she said. "Our ancestors didn't fail against the Harvesters. They sacrificed themselves to plant the seeds of this moment, knowing that only through the combined potential of all species could we face the challenges of a universe far stranger than we imagined." Sarah looked out at the transformed fleet, at the awakened worlds glowing with new purpose, at the gaps between stars that no longer seemed quite so dark. "Then let's make sure their sacrifice wasn't in vain," she said. "We've won our freedom. Now let's see what we can become with it." The awakened fleet dispersed, but not to return to their separate worlds. They spread out across the galaxy, sharing knowledge, combining innovations, creating something that had never existed before. A civilization that transcended not by abandoning physical form, but by embracing the infinite possibilities within it. And in the vast distances between galaxies, other entities took notice. The Harvesters had been just the beginning. But for the first time in cosmic history, life had found a way to evolve that didn't lead to extinction or isolation, but to ever-growing complexity and connection. The dawn of true freedom had arrived, and with it, the real story of life in the universe could finally begin.